Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining our ICAP webinar series. We are concluding this wonderful series of 2019. So I'm so excited to have you here today. Our topic of discussion today is called Mentoring Enhances ICAP. Today with me, our guest speaker is Beverly Woodrum, and she is a mentoring advocate and consultant, and she is also the former director of the Born Mentoring Initiative. So she's really going to be here today to talk about mentoring, why is it valuable, and give also some examples from school level all the way up to a collegiate level. So excited to have her here today. And again, please welcome with me, Beverly Woodrum with our mentoring advocate and consultant.
Thank you, Chelsea. This is an honor to be here and talk a little bit about all of the wonderful people and schools in Oklahoma that do mentoring. Although the concept of mentoring and the word mentor originates from about 800 BC with Homer's Odyssey. And although Big Brothers Big Sisters is over 100 years old, the catalyst for business interest in mentoring and really in education actually comes from the publication of A Nation at Risk, the imperative for educational reform, which was issued in 1983. Then in 1994-95, Public-Private Ventures published research about the measurable results of Big Brothers Big Sisters. So as things progressed, a body of mentoring research grew, and now we have many mentoring researchers funded by business and by others around the United States who are delving into best practices and what to do to really make a difference in kids' lives. And this is in addition to school. Europe is even now copying what America's been doing, especially to work with immigrants. Now, what is mentoring? Mentoring is a trusting, caring relationship between two or more people over a prolonged period of time. Now, when you first look at these two pictures, if you can see them, Dalton and Larry Ace Parker from Volunteers for Youth, Rogers County, Claremore, you'll notice that Larry or Ace is clad in motorcycle gear. He's tattooed, has a do-rag on in the beginning. Anyway, you would probably think this is not going to be a good person to be a mentor. Not so. He was the perfect mentor. And if you can see the pictures later, you will notice the graduation photo of Dalton with a little bit older Larry or Ace by his side. This was an indication that you can never judge a book by its cover, and that a lot of investment of time and care can make a difference in a young man whose father died unexpectedly. I also like what Chip Bell said in the Harvard Business Review's Coaching and Mentoring. Coaching and mentoring are very, very important in business. A mentor is simply someone who helps someone else learn something that he or she would have learned less well, more slowly, or not at all if left alone. What is a mentor? A trusted friend. You don't rat on your mentee unless there is something that might endanger them that you hear. That doesn't mean that you can't talk over a situation that you need help on with a counselor or with your mentoring program director who is your bridge. Mentor is a positive role model, a listener. And when I do mentor training myself, I have listener probably 25 times, because you spend a lot of time listening to a young person, be them high school, middle school, elementary, college level. It's very important to listen. And probably most important is being a nurturer of possibilities. You're a motivator. You keep them interested in moving forward. You are a personal advocate. If you see that they need some help or there's some gap, then you go ahead and speak up. And you are an educational and career advocate. These are all very, very important. And you see a picture of Dwayne Miller from Coach a Kid Enid. The goal of mentoring is to help a younger or older, in some cases, less experienced person realize his or her full potential. And some of you may know Alton Carter in Oklahoma from his books. He's also a motivational speaker and a youth pastor, but he has said to develop skills in young people so they can save themselves. That's really important. You can have school-based mentoring or community-based. We're not going to talk about all of these reasons why mentoring, but I do want to mention absent parents. That's important to me to mention to you. In my experience with almost 8 years of supervising a little mentoring program of college students at OU and OSU, working with elementary and middle school students, the mentees had multiple risks. There was never one that just had one. And some of them were absolutely shocking how many risks they had. And I would always ask the mentor, who was a busy college student, are you sure you want to tackle this? And if at any point you want to back out, let me know, and we will close the relationship formally and move on. And they always stuck it out. Anyway, let's go back to absent parents. A lot of us are a little bit sheltered. I know I was, and we don't understand situations. And as teachers and administrators, sometimes we are so busy just trying to do what we have to do that we don't take into account that parents may really love their children, but by their not being there for various reasons, the kids suffer some loss. Parents could be deployed, one or both. That creates stress. You don't know what's going to happen. There may not be that male or female role model there as a parent. You have parents of incarcerated or students whose parents are incarcerated. There was a great program in Antlers that addressed just that. I don't know if they're back up and running, but they have had periods when they did not have funding, but they operated on a very small amount of money. And I believe the last time they had 90 matches of children of incarcerated parents. But those kids need a mentor. You could be affluent and working too much and socializing too much because you are a community leader and you have to be out there. And you think just because you're giving your kids everything that they don't need you. I mean, it's not that you really make that decision, it's just how things evolve. But they do need you. They need someone to be their champion in a different way, to be their friend. You could be poor and working too much. And I know some people in Oklahoma City who work multiple jobs. They only have 1 day a week off. The mother may be working also, and if she's doing cleaning or whatever, she may have younger children with her while she does it. Those people are doing everything they can for the future of their children, but they are earning money, usually at lower level wages. So they maybe aren't there. Gangs are always looking to draft young people like that. So again, you really have to consider the situation. Drugs. If parents are on drugs, they generally are absent. Drugs take over. That's not an excuse, but those students, those children can benefit from a mentor. Mental health. In the survey that we sent out in our little mentoring program, mental health was often checked for the parent and sometimes for the child. So we know these issues are out there. Again, it's not that the parents don't love their children, it's just they are absent in a sense. So we won't go through all of the risk, but bullying, being bullied, loneliness, low self-esteem is a common factor we've seen in the past for many, many mentees. Being a foreign student, that was brought up to me just recently at Rose State. And a young woman who's an RN was saying there's a huge need for foreign students to have mentors because they don't know how to navigate America just yet or how to navigate the education system exactly. And even though supports are out there, it's still difficult. At risk. I like this quote in a sense. All children in our society are at risk by the virtue that they are impressionable, need love, need acceptance, need friendship, need security, need identity, want money. That just means choice or opportunity. But you know what? They don't usually know how to get there. And this is a quote from Anthony Hutchinson, PhD. I've heard him speak in Canada. He is quite an authority. He actually was in a gang in Toronto. And although he has multiple certifications and he's internationally well known and very successful now, he still maintains a free or almost free gang therapy in Toronto, in addition to the affluent one that he does and his college work. So he knows firsthand. And you can rise above everything. Learning differently. This is a pet peeve because I used to be a teacher. And when I started, I was not equipped. It was a very long time ago. And I had no training in learning differences. Basically, everyone was special ed. I'm not even sure that's what we called it back then, special ed or not. And yet I would have a class of 30 some odd kids, and there were obvious differences, which usually erupted into behavior issues by students who were having problems adjusting to the basic way of teaching. So there are actually mentoring programs nationally just for youth with learning disabilities and also for youth with physical handicaps. But you don't have to have a separate program because you can build that into your training so that if you have a student with ADHD, and I will say from my experience, the majority of them had that, you really need to address it and the mentor needs to know and be given some skills to deal with it. In other words, you're not going to be sitting at a desk for an hour and mentoring with someone like that. You have to have different activities. You have to understand what's going on. And a prime example is that we had a student who would not read. And we always encourage the mentors to do a little bit of reading, especially with elementary students. And there was no way in the world that child was going to read. And the mentor kept reporting to me and talking to me. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. So one day he took a comic book with a superhero, which this mentee liked. And he was so proud. He puts it out in front of him and the mentee just ignores it, totally ignores it, would not read. So with further investigation, we finally found out this young man had dyslexia. So what I did was supply an understanding and materials on dyslexia and how to deal with it so that the mentor would understand the child. So that has worked out much better. The school's still working with him, but again, to have the mentor think there's something wrong, that wasn't the right approach. There is a book by Dr. Gail Saltz. I would recommend it for teachers if you haven't seen it, or principals or mentors especially. I always recommend it for mentors. And it's the power of difference, I believe. The link between disorder and genius. Because in the chapters, she will talk about what is causing the learning difference. And then at the end, there are 3 parts to each chapter. It's not very long. At the end, she talks about which careers people with those differences tend to excel in. So that helps you focus your ICAP, I suppose, focus your mentoring toward that child. What mentees can gain? Obviously, social and emotional skills, peer and adult relationships, sparks identification. Maybe they're good in music and no one's discovered that yet. Or maybe they're good in art. And you point that out. It's not that they're going to make a living at that, perhaps, but you want to find things that they can do well and that they can pursue as a hobby or something that makes them feel good. Exploration of interest, we hope mentors expose them. And now ICAP has this wonderful plan. So students through school will definitely be exposed to different career interests. So it's wonderful. It's a wonderful program. Envisioning a future. A lot of kids only see what's around them. They live in a bit of a silo. It's no one's fault, but they go to school with, they go to church with, or the religious institution of their choice. They do everything. They look at their family. If the family's not educated, or if there's some problem that's fairly pervasive in the family, then that's all they see. And they have trouble envisioning themselves on a different path. So mentors bring that to them. ICAP will bring that to them also. So this is all good. Learning intangibles. It's really hard to teach values, but some things are just basic, like courtesy, socializing, networking. All of the intangibles are important, and mentors can demonstrate that and at times call a student on it or a mentee on it in a nice way. Learning practical life skills. There are many things that we need to know that we may not, and you can learn them sometimes from a mentor. Goal setting and strategies to achieve those goals is extremely important. So there's so many things out there. In the photo, we have Captain Brian Palmer, and he works with the Department of Defense Starbase Oklahoma 2.0 after school program. This is STEM based. It's a marvelous program. And again, having a military man work with your child on STEM, how much better does that get? Value of mentoring. Again, we have art programs. We have all kinds of enrichment programs, such as the Mutual Gold in Bartlesville, Studio 222, St. Luke's United Methodist Church in Oklahoma City. There's so many programs I couldn't talk about, or types of programs. And so here are some results, though, of the value of mentoring from Mentor, the National Mentoring Partnership. And you can find all kinds of resources at mentoring.org. But moving on, the value that I really particularly enjoyed learning about by accident was from a 5-year Washington State study in which mentoring was the subject. But the unexpected result was this finding that the strongest benefit and most consistent across risk groups was a reduction in depressive symptoms. Out of approximately, I believe, 5,000 young people followed, surveyed, no one dreamed they would have that level of depression, which was almost 1 in 4 youth reported worrisome levels of these symptoms at baseline. That means that was almost clinically or almost clinical level. So that's pretty frightening. You'll notice there's a picture of Kremlin's Wild Horse Gang. And these young people learn social skills. They do a lot of community service. And it's pretty much run by one woman and all of the people she can gather up to help her. It's about 20 years old, I think, a little over 20. Another value of mentoring, and this is probably the one I feel is most important, or, well, it's hard to say that. It's very, very expensive to do valid research on mentoring or on anything. I was recently talking to someone in Kansas, and it was something like $23,000 to do a study and then follow up for several years. So you're using a lot of researchers. That's a lot of money. But for the 100th anniversary of Big Brothers Big Sisters in Canada, back in 2013, the Boston Consulting Company actually did the study. And if any of you in business know, the Boston Consulting Company does huge projects for a whole lot of money for cities and states and others around the world. So Why would they do this? Because the man who was in charge at the Canadian group actually had a big brother when he was a child, and he became a big brother. So when this 100th anniversary approached, he goes, well, yes, I'll do this. We will do this for the public good. So notice, this is the social return on investment, SROI, for mentoring. It was thousands of young people involved. $18 for every $1 spent, unless you were working with a specific group, and that was $23 for every $1 spent for the most economically disadvantaged. So supporting mentoring with money or being a mentor means much. It's priceless. And then there's a picture of bridges, Bridges of Norman. And you notice that the faces are covered up. And that is because this is a program for high school young people who are emancipated. They've either been kicked out of the house perhaps or left home for various reasons. And if they're lucky, they can come to Bridges, and they have little duplex apartments, very small, but there's a large center, and they receive lots of social work. There's a kitchen there. They have activities together. Bridges helps them find jobs, and mentoring is a huge piece of this. Very huge piece. And a lot of the mentors are business people in the community. Wonderful program. This perhaps is the most current data I have, and it's very telling. The value of mentoring translates down to education and economics. Nationally, the average cost per youth served across all mentoring programs is $1,695 a year. Now, there's a little asterisk because that's not the average in Oklahoma. We can do it for a whole lot less here in general, and many people do, especially in small towns. But the annual cost of youth incarceration for a single individual was $112,555. Now, one child mentored versus one child, one youth incarcerated. Where's your investment? Where should your investment be? And this is from the 2016 Economic Report of the President Council of Economic Advisors. So, the Office of Juvenile Affairs is very invested in mentoring their clients. There have been a lot of changes in the Office of Juvenile Affairs. It's all wonderful. There's hope. But you know what? If we mentor enough, and with ICAP and communities stepping up, then we should have fewer kids in this pipeline to the juvenile system, and hence fewer people in prison. And I have not found this fact, but it came across my desk recently, that the number one factor that connects most people in prison is not graduating from high school. If that's true, then we need to be working on making sure they're not given a grade. You know, they're not passed as we used to years ago, but they actually have something they can get out and move forward with. So ICAP is a huge piece of this. Some examples. An elementary school example that is very old here in Oklahoma City is Integris Health Positive Directions Mentoring Program at the Stanley Hupfeld Academy at Western Village. This was launched in 1992. And back at that time, there were a couple of other corporations who also launched mentoring programs. McGee was one, but as you know, that sold to Anadarko Oil, and that stopped. AT&T at Southwestern Bell, I believe, had one. There may have been others, but the point is Integris Health's program continues. And at the time, Stanley F. Hupfeld was the president and CEO who started this, and now he is senior consultant. but he still mentors and he is still a mentoring advocate. And I've heard him speak numerous times. But what he says he likes to do is start teaching his mentees chess. And very shortly, they beat him. He never thinks they're not capable. He just does it, and they learn. So this is Mr. Hupfeld with one of his mentees who's now much older. But also note, they have 330 students total. They don't match mentors with pre-K. And as of December 17th, they had 270 matches. So really, they just lack 30, approximately 30, having all of their first through fifth graders matched. That's an outstanding program by longevity. And it's pretty much the mother or father of all Oklahoma City mentoring programs. Another example is Beaver Duster mentoring program, launched in 2014 for grades 1 through 5. And they do this pretty much by students who need someone. So they have one in junior high and one in high school. The mentors, uniquely, are both adult and high school peer mentors. So this is really amazing. And if you don't know, Beaver is in the entrance to the Panhandle. So it's way up there. Takes a little while to drive over there, but it's a wonderful program that will continue. Another is El Reno's Students Striving for Success, launched in 2013 for grades K through 6. Last year, because they keep a little bit of data, they had 144 mentees, 66 mentors, so some had more than one mentee. They had 2,340 sessions, which translated at 1,649 hours of volunteering. And if you figure that by the national rate for an hour of volunteer service, but we sort of break it down for Oklahoma's rate, then that was $37,844 worth of time the school system could have never paid to have adults come into the system. So when you look at the time by business people and others, that's really important. Preschool. Now, some mentoring researchers have told me when I ask by email, can you mentor less than a third grader? And the answer is no, because it's not a real relationship. However, with that said, we do have some preschool programs in Oklahoma, and they are working really well. So maybe this is not exactly mentoring as we think of it, where you build a relationship, but there is a relationship. One is the SB crew at Carver Early Childhood Center in Enid. And the principal, Christine Smith, actually wanted more males in the school. Because as you know, in many elementary schools, there are not many male teachers generally. So she asked Stan Brownlee to do something. And he was a veteran mentor already. He had created his own program and done it for over 20 years. And yet he stepped up. So he asked some of his male friends to help. And they do something interesting. They get 2 or 3 students at a time, and they play educational games with them for 15 or 20 minutes, take them back, pick up another group, and go on. So the goal is for all students to be mentored. And one of the side pieces is, I guess, or one of the benefits you might not expect, because we all know about English as a second language and doing all these other things. But as Christine points out, and as most mentoring programs know nationwide, if you have an English-speaking mentor with someone learning English, they pick up English much faster. They do. So at her school, about 30% of the students do not speak English, and by Christmas, they're speaking English. Middle school. Middle school nationally is the most overlooked, and certainly here in Oklahoma, but you have some people who are stepping up. And again, we cannot talk about all the programs that are doing wonderful things, and I'm sorry about that. But BEST is relatively new. It's building extraordinary success today. in Cache, Oklahoma. It's for grades 5 through 8, but the mentors are to follow their mentees through graduation, which is a wonderful plan. Best offers positive role models and leadership opportunities for the students in one-on-one mentoring and also on group activities. So this is very important because they are exploring life skills and learning about how to succeed, plus having fun. A new program I'm really excited about is Muskogee Mentors. It's launching in Wetumpka in early 2020 for grades 6 through 12, and it's sponsored by the Muskogee Nation Youth Services, which is sponsored by the Muskogee Creek Nation. And I had the honor of being on the steering committee, going to the meetings and getting to know people involved in this. Right now, the grant comes from the Muskogee Creek Nation, so the mentees will be Muskogee Creeks, and the mentors have had so much input into how this will work. And a lot of them, not all, but a lot of them have been in the military or been in other places doing other things, and they've come back to Wetumpka to make a difference in the youth. So this is exciting, very exciting. Then you have other models. And again, there are many more. But Young Men in Action and Gentlemen of Lawton High School is very interesting. It is a character and leadership development program serving Central Middle School, Lawton High School, and its feeder schools. This program, or both versions of it, provide opportunities for community service, educational, and training programs, particularly for minority underserved students. I love this because they go out and they do all kinds of things for the community and learn. And as you can see in the pictures, there's some of the mentors and mentees at Dr. Seuss Day. So they're reading to younger peers. Very exciting. They learn financial literacy. They do all kinds of things. Elk City Middle School's Elks Career Coaches launched in 2017 with only 10 mentors. And this is a program in which mentors will follow their mentees through graduation. So we're excited. But this is wonderful. Again, the difference of having someone from the community who loves kids, who likely is working or retired or whatever, spend time with these kids is amazing. There's a picture of Tim Bagby, who is a mentor, and he actually has a full-time job, but he will come by early in the morning sometimes with a breakfast biscuit. And so his mentee will run out, grab the biscuit, and of course, eat or just take it with him. But it's that I'm dropping in on you. I'm checking on you. This is beyond his regular mentoring time. And Tim even makes grade checks. He'll go to the school and ask, well, how is my mentee doing? So there's a lot of investment here besides the hour a week. And then we have Stirrups, Will Rogers College High and Junior High Mentoring Program. It uses alums, church people from the area, high school athletes, and University of Tulsa students, often athletes. You cannot have enough mentoring. Peer mentoring. Sometimes, for whatever reason, a teacher will decide he or she will sponsor a peer mentoring group. Now, yes, this is work because you're responsible. But in the case of Michelle Churchwell at Lawton Eisenhower, she has now moved beyond anything but sort of watching what they do. The students are well trained. They've developed the program. They really implement almost everything. But she spearheaded that. So this was launched in 2016-17, and it's a transition mentoring program. And that means that it has upperclassmen work with freshmen and new students to help them acclimate to school and to know what's important and keep them on track. And these younger people so admire these young, older, their mentors. It's very exciting. And they talk about loving school. They talk about ACTs, all kinds of things. Woodward High School's freshman mentoring program, FMP, or Friendly Meeting Place, uses upperclassmen to mentor freshmen. It is similar, but it's a little different structure. Here, the juniors and seniors meet with assigned freshmen in classrooms. So there's a teacher in there. They do it each week for 20 minutes to provide information that will be helpful. They may teach the school fight song. They may teach about competing at a pep assembly, by class, group activities. I can't remember everything they've done, but they have like paper airplane launches, just, competitions, whatever. So it's very exciting. There is a fun element, but again, it's to keep them on task about what's important in school and for their futures. And they serve about 200 freshmen each year. Catoosa High School Students as Mentors, SAM, is a little bit different. It's also focused on peer mentoring. A student is chosen by each teacher to represent their advisory class called Advocacy. There are 45 of them. They receive training and monthly meetings on how to mentor younger students, and then they help transition freshmen through the advisory class. So there are all these different configurations of what people have developed to do that works. I would like to talk a little bit about Prior. We could not mention peer mentoring without Prior. I once referred to it as a mentoring mecca because when I went up there, I had no idea they had so many programs. But we will not go through all of them. But you'll notice that they base a lot of their mentoring on the 7 habits of highly effective people. And you have seniors mentor 4th and 6th graders. You have Walking Wednesdays, safe routes to schools, where the high school students will meet at designated locations. The elementary students will come and then they'll all walk together, parents, staff, everybody walking to school. That's not every day, but they interact. They know that the younger people know the older students. If they see them at football games or whatever, they know who they are. So this is all good for role modeling. Elementary robotics, of course, is always helpful. Special Tigers is basically unique. This was started by a student, Anthony Martinez, in 2013-14, and it serves students with severe and profound special needs. So you're taking some of your top leaders in high school, matching them with kids who have really severe learning issues or physical issues. One of their activities is to go, and I can't remember the name of it, forgive me, but to go together to a Korean, it's not Taekwondo, but anyway, to go and work out and practice. And it's amazing the results, the health benefits, the fact that the special needs students are doing really well, and the involvement of the high school leaders is just amazing. Lincoln Challenge classes have 5th grade students mentoring 3rd grade students and 6th grade students mentoring 4th. And then we have high school heroes. So we won't spend much more time on that. But anyway, Sallisaw Public Schools also has a mentoring program at Liberty Elementary. And so high school students work with the elementary students. I'm sorry, there's so much. And I'm so enthusiastic about what they're all doing. Starbase is a STEM program, and it's really interesting. You can have 5th grade classrooms on military installations, and you can have the 2.0 after school program, and that's for 6th through 8th. Women's Energy Network, I don't know if you are aware of them or not, but they decided they wanted to do something with Starbase, so they developed curriculum for the oil and gas industry, and they launched a program last year. So again, business people, military people, others stepping up for kids. So many others. Oklahoma City Fact Unit from the police department. You have OKC Powell, Police Athletic League, doing wonderful things in the city and collaborating with others. You have various churches with groups. The list is endless, and I'm sorry to omit anyone. Thunderbird Challenge program in Pryor is excellent because students can opt to go there. They sometimes are students who could not function in normal school. They dropped out, but here they can go and have some structure and a whole lot of input into them to finish their educations, and mentoring is a component of that. I was just at Enid's First Presbyterian Church yesterday watching their Christmas celebration between mentors and mentees. It was amazing. And I first learned about the program about 2013 and went over there to document it. It is probably the least expensive program in Oklahoma because the church steps up to do almost everything, and various people in the church. And I can explain that if someone asks. But anyway, it's after school. Excellent. Then you have scholarship type programs. And an example in Bartlesville is the Low Family Young Scholars. And so for grades 6 through 12, they actually provide mentoring and support to help students get through school. And the students could receive $4,000 scholarships. So again, there are other programs, but that's what I'm mentioning at the moment. Collegiate models. Why would I even mention these? One, because you can adapt them to your schools. Another is graduates, high school graduates need to be aware that when they go to a college, even a community college or even a regional college, look for mentoring programs because there are so many out there and you want to be in those. You really do. Some are specific to majors, but you want to be in those. Some examples here at the Spears College of Business is professional to collegiate. So they have business people come in and work with their seniors before they graduate. This is really important to launch people from just academic pursuits into the reality of what the workforce is like. Oklahoma City Community College's Students Connecting with Mentors for Success is an amazing success, award-winning, actually. It started in 2015, originally for African American males, and it has spread now or expanded to females and also Hispanic male and female students. And they are matched, of course, with a professional mentor. Chevron Phillips Scholar Mentors is a program at OU, the College of Chemical Materials and Biological Engineering, and it's peer-to-peer. And actually, it has funding from Chevron Phillips, and these mentors, they have to compete to be one. They have to be really good in their field, and they get a little stipend, but they do a ton of things beyond tutoring. It's acclimating people to engineering in their sophomore year, because that's the hard year. When they try to weed people out. The Jerry Holmes Leadership Program for Engineers and Scientists is amazing. It's primarily leadership, but they also have professional mentors. And here you see the picture of Eugenia, who graduated in December with her mentor, who actually is from Houston. And so she not only comes to Oklahoma, to Norman, but they can Skype and call and other things. How does this tie to ICAP? Well, very quickly, mentoring research shows there is an academic, social, emotional, and economic component or results to mentoring. We can prove that. Highly trained and monitored mentors can focus upon social and emotional skills in K through 5, academic exploration and goal setting, choices, healthy choices, who you are, identity, leadership and teamwork, and 6 through 8. and career interest in 9 through 12. And even if you can't place a mentee with someone in their chosen field, and they may not really know what they're doing, even with ICAP. I mean, they may change their major like most people do. Still, every mentor has connections, and they can open doors or refer young people to things they just don't know about. So, from my point of view, mentoring enhances Oklahoma's ICAP and vice versa. And by the way, I have to get a plug in for Mentor, the National Mentoring Partnership, because everything that's research based, along with lots of resources, are at mentoring.org. And the Elements of Effective Practice, fourth edition, is sort of the guide, the research guide that's out there. So I want to leave you with something positive. I always like to leave you with something you can use. So if I were you, I would just print this off or type this up or something, take a screenshot, and I would post it on the wall, bathroom mirror, whatever. It's 5 questions every mentor must ask. What is it you really want to be and do? What are you doing really well that is helping you get there? What are you not doing well that is preventing you from getting there? And what will you do differently tomorrow to meet those challenges? And then as a mentor, how can I help, or where do you need the most help? And this is actually from the Harvard Business Review. And I would suggest not only asking your mentee or your child, but ask those questions of yourself. If you need any information, if you need help, whatever, with mentoring or just, whatever, let me know. Thank you, Chelsea.
Thank you so much, Beverly. I was just sitting down and just really blown away by all of the extensive knowledge and resources provided. And I really loved the personal highlights of our rural, suburban, and urban school districts of what they're doing with mentorship programs. So if you're trying to start a mentorship program or don't even know where to get started, I do recommend that you reach out to Beverly, who can give you that great guidance, but also to see those models that are doing things already well. I want to continue before we answer any questions, and we will answer your questions with a couple of slides, and then I'll come back and I'll bring Beverly up and we'll answer any questions that you may have on this topic. I just wanted to let you know, again, as I mentioned when we first started, this is the conclusion of our 2019 ICAP webinar series. We also did it in 2018 as well, and we've had a wonderful time, and hopefully you have gotten the information that you needed and heard from various speakers on topics that were relatable to you. I did want you to know, if you ever miss one of our webinars, we have them now. You can see the recorded webinars online. You go to okedge.com, go to educators, and then you go to professional development, but I've included the link right there for you. And then also, we recognize that we want to make sure that we are getting content that is out for you, that is useful, but that is also in your realm and practical for what you guys are doing when it comes to ICAP, when it comes to business and family and community engagement. So we really want and need your feedback, especially as we are kind of making the decision, should we proceed with college and career readiness webinars? We really want and see that feedback. So if you can complete the ICAP webinar series and let us know your thoughts, let us know what future topics you would like to hear, whether that's in special education, whether that's in assessment, whether that's in accountability, just let us know what you need so that if we do college and career readiness webinars, we will have topics and we will have various presenters here to answer any questions you may have. If you don't know what OKEdge is, please get to know it. This is your hub for college and career readiness. This is just to show you what it looks like as an overview. Of course, you may already know, but it's for business and community. It's for educators, students, and families. This is where you're going to find information about the ICAP toolkit, information about how do I start connecting with business and community when it comes to job shadowing, when it comes to internships, when it comes to mentorships, etc. And how do we even begin to engage those parents and families? So a great hub for you for your college and career readiness. And then there's a direct link for OK Edge, also a direct link to all of our ICAP toolkits in case you are still in the works of building your ICAP team. And of course, this being the first year of implementation and just getting that structure, we have some tools and guidance for you. And then lastly, but not least, that Oklahoma Connect online learning community. So that is there for you as well. Some tools, of course, we hopefully know that two of the free online tools that you can use within ICAP is OK College Start and OK Career Guide. And of course, there are some school districts that are using other tools that are paid for, but if you need a free one, these two options have really molded their systems to be very compatible to ICAP and the language of ICAP. There are, and if you need a training, those are the dates for you. You can click on those links, find the dates for OK College Start and OK Career Guide. And then both of the trainers have actually done one of these ICAP webinars for us. And so you can see the latest and greatest of all the features. Of course, they keep molding and changing, but at least you can see what's out there for you right now. I'll just give you a few exciting things that are now online. The class of 2023 college preparatory / work ready curriculum graduation checklist. We also have the class of 2023 core curriculum graduation checklist. And then also the transcript guidance has been revised. So that is now online for you to access. And then and that's on the SDE website. So that's sde.ok.gov. And then there are some business and community resources on OK Edge. I'd like to highlight the internship FAQs. Those have been revised, so check those out. And then the Business and Education Partnership Guide. There's a plethora of guidance documents that we've created, so check that out, direct links, and you will get this after. I will send this to you tomorrow. That's when you'll get this webinar, the recording, the PowerPoint, and then of course go back to OK Edge and you'll find the recording there as well. Some upcoming events for 2020. We are almost in the new year. Mark your calendars, register to attend this wonderful free event. It's going to be on February 17th of 2020. It is the Bridges to Hope Teaching in the Shadow of Trauma Conference. Dr. Bruce Perry will be the guest speaker, so he'll be there to really talk and guide that day. Again, it's free to all, and go ahead and register. We have a big crowd coming, and we're excited to see you guys all join us again on February 17th, 2020. Another upcoming event for 2020, mark your calendars, March 2nd through the 6th is going to be Oklahoma Career Exposure Week, and we are currently getting things in place so that if you are needing a virtual piece of exploring the careers that are available to you in Oklahoma, you'll be able to do it from the State Department. So we're getting that ready. Our goal is to have a sign-up list to you in the new year, so keep looking for that. We'll disseminate this information via our counselors newsletter and our student support newsletter and our college and career readiness newsletter. And we'll also more than likely put it in the administrator's newsletter. So just start marking your calendar and get ready to hear exciting things happening for that whole week. As always, love for you to stay connected. Again, if you need to subscribe to our college and career readiness newsletter, that's a direct link to you. Stay with us on Twitter and Facebook to hear the latest and greatest. Also, if there are other newsletters that I mentioned earlier that you need to subscribe to, always go to sde.ok.gov and you can subscribe on that website. And then last but definitely not least, want to always let you know our college and career readiness team consists of myself, the executive director of work-based learning and industry engagement, consists of Marissa Lightsey, who is the executive director of college and career readiness, and also Petra Woodard, who is the executive director of academic counseling. So all three of us wonderful ladies are here to help you in any information that you may need. So as I conclude my slides, I want to get back to the questions, so that any questions you had for Beverly or myself, please put them in the chat box and we will answer them. But before I start that session, I just want to thank you one more time just for being dedicated and taking the time to attend these webinars and giving me feedback on topics that you wanted to hear from. And just one more plug to complete that survey once you get that link so that we can see how to proceed moving forward. All right, on to your questions. Beverly, if you'd like to join me. Oh, does anyone have any questions? I don't see any right now, but do you have any questions? One question is, where do we get a copy of the PowerPoint? I will send tomorrow a copy of the PowerPoint. It'll be in PDF format and a copy of the recorded webinar. So you'll have that in an email from me tomorrow. And then you can also see the recorded webinar on OK Edge, and that hopefully will be posted before the new year. If not, you'll have it in 2020. But personally, you'll have that PowerPoint and webinar tomorrow. Any other questions, maybe for Beverly about mentorship programs, anything like that? Okay, well, that is a good sign. That means we answered your questions and we gave you some information that you needed. You will have Beverly's contact information, so to follow up with her if you have some questions that, oh, I didn't get a chance to ask, that were burning, and so we will get that to you. Again, I want to thank you for joining us on this webinar. Thank you, Beverly, and just want to wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and Happy Holidays. Thank you so much.